Welcome to my equipment showcase video for the Ancient Dragon set. Here is the first one. This is ordered alphabetically. Mostly, there are a few exceptions here, but this is the Ancient Dragon set. Do not confuse it with the Dragon's Guard set or the Dragon King set. It's the Ancient Dragon set. So, this set is arguably has the best two set bonus in the whole game. At Mythic Rarity, at the start of my turn, create 4 gems in a mix of colors based on equipped spell colors. Now, if you are only using one color, this will generate 4 gems of your color every turn, including turn 1, which is extremely useful because sometimes you start a fight and you don't have enough gems to make a match. Now, 4 additional gems is not going to guarantee that you will be able to do a match on round 1, but it will considerably increase your chances. The 4 pieces set at Mythic Rarity will generate a skull when taking physical damage at a 100% chance. As you can see, lower rarity is lower chance, but at Mythic will be 100%. And finally, the 6 pieces, as you can see, doesn't change depending on the rarity. All equipped variants counts as are considered to have 1 extra piece equipped. Now, I am sure that someone will be able to make a 6 piece set bonus of this build work, but so far I don't think it's worth it. However, the 2 pieces are extremely powerful. Those are the good news. Now, let's talk about the bad news. This set cannot be crafted. Also, this set cannot be found in dungeons. This is the Ancient Dragon set that you can only obtain each one of their pieces by opening the ultimate, well, any of the caches, but the ultimate cache has the highest probability. I made a video about ancient coins. Please watch it. I'm not going to repeat it myself here, but obtaining these items is not that difficult if you can save a few ancient coins. However, refining these items to maximum quality will take you a long time and a lot of resources. So that is the first drawback. The items, the individual items here are very expensive and hard to obtain. And you also need luck. At the end of the day, these caches are loot boxes, so even when the chances are not too bad, still you're rolling the dice. Now, let's talk about the individual pieces. And this is where the problem starts. Now, if you are playing a green build, the Amulet of the First is hands down the best amulet for a green build. At the start of battle, convert 3 green gems to Gems of Dreams with a 100% chance to create an additional 3 Gems of Dreams. So, if you have 2 pieces of this set, including the Amulet of the First for a green build, you will generate on round 1 3 additional Gems of Dreams, which can match regular green gems, plus the 4 additional for the 2 set. So if you're playing green, this item is hands down awesome. The other 5 items individually, they are not that good. They are not bad. Some of them are a bit how can I say this? How can I put it? It depends on the circumstances and it depends on the build. Okay, they are not bad, but they are not very good either. So when choosing which two items you want to equip, it's not so much about what are the best items, but instead what are the least worst items that I can spare. However, there is one more thing, and that is the special items uh, uh, capabilities. So, in the case of the amulet of the first, as you can see here, it says Fey touched. Well, what does it mean? Here we can read it. Gain 1% power for each positive status effect on you per each item equipped. This is great, obviously, but the other items, let's talk about them. So, the Mirror of the Forgotten. This one will has a 20% chance to blind the enemy, which when it triggers on round one is excellent because it works as if you had a barrier. And if you have a barrier and the enemy is blinded, because blind halves the physical damage of the enemy, it will only do a quarter of the damage with both. If the enemy is already blinded, then it will create a flashbang gem. However, the chance, as you can see, 20% is not reliable. So yeah, sometimes it will trigger on round one, great, but don't count on it because it's definitely not consistent. And when we look at the special variant is Sunswept. Create one yellow gem when making a column match per each item with this variant equipped. If you're not playing a yellow build, it's not too disruptive because this will create a yellow gem after you resolve your turn, after your turn ends, so that newly created yellow gem will affect your opponent's turn before it goes back to you, and then on your next turn you will generate 4 more uh, gems of your color thanks to the choose set bonus. So it's not a big deal. And as I said, the ability is not too bad. At the end of the day, armors, a few of them are good, but there are no armors that you can say, oh yeah, this is, I must have, unless you're playing specific builds. For most of them, the armor is a slot that you can replace, and this piece of equipment is not too bad. Next, let's talk about the Crown of the Fallen. This one is only legendary. I don't have a mythical one. The mythical one increases the effect of terror, I think by 25%, could be 30%. But note that it doesn't inflict terror. It only increases the effect. Now, terror is a debuff that you can put on an enemy, and if there are 5 or more purple gems on the board, then you will deal 20% additional damage. So if you're playing purple, maybe you can use it if you can inflict terror with other pieces of equipment, which is not guaranteed, or with a spell. But if you're not playing purple, this is like nothing. It really doesn't do anything for you. It's not good, but it's not too bad either. And if we look at the temporal, which is the special variant, at the start of your turn, there is a 10% chance to convert 2 random gems to your hero's higher mastery color. In this specific case is ice, because this is an ice uh, build. So basically, it's the same effect that you get for the two set. Instead of being guaranteed, it's only 10%, but you have a chance to convert two random gems to your color, which is good. Now, 10% is not really going to make any difference. So this is another piece of equipment that is meh at best. However, it goes in the head, and the head slot is usually very contested because you have the Castuli helm that will give you a barrier when you start the battle. You have the, well, the Flame Tree helm that increases starting mana for purple and red spells. You have the, let me see if I can find it, the Track helm, which will give you haste. Haste increases the amount of mana you get from gems by 50% for the three first turns. So as you can see, using this item prevents you from using very, very useful items. However, if your build is solid enough to take a hit, uh, you can use it, absolutely. Now, keep in mind that if you want to play events, for the higher level events, like the uh, dungeons and the boss rush, without a Casduli helm, you will probably get one shot whenever an enemy deals critical damage. So those are the three items that you can say, okay, if you're playing green, the Amulet of the First, hands down. The other two are not too bad. But let's talk about the other three items. Here in Season 3.0, you can get the Amulet of the First. In 3.1, you can get the Mirror of the Forgotten. In 3.2, you can get the vambraces of the caged. So let's have a look. Well, under the effect of negative status effect, increase my power by 5% per negative status effect on me. Okay, now, yeah, sometimes in events you can take advantage of this. Some events where, oh, if you match red gems, you get burned. If you match purple gems, you get hexed. And those things. But 5% per negative status effect is not such a big deal, honestly. Also, this one is as the swamp soaked variant, which at the start of your turn, there is a 50% chance to convert one blue gem to green per swamp soaked gear equipped. So, if you're playing a green shaman, great. Use the amulet and the vambraces, and you're set. That's awesome. If you're playing any other color, you don't really want to start getting more green gems every turn. Even if it's 50% chance only, it can get quite annoying. However, if you're playing a physical build, like let me choose, for example, my mercenary, which is green, is a green mercenary, so he could use those. The problem is that when it comes to the hand slot, there are many great items. So, for example, we have the runic wristbands that will increase your critical damage depending on your mastery. You have the, no, not the jeweled. You have the guard, yeah, the guard's gloves that will increase critical chance. You have the Trark's gloves, which will also increase critical hit chance. Generally speaking, most of the items that increase critical hit chance and critical hit damage are in the arms slot. So using that item for a physical build will reduce your physical damage, whether it is your critical chance or your uh, critical damage. Now, let's go to 3.3. We have the shield, which is the guard of the belligerent. Increase elemental damage resistance by 10%. Okay. When it comes to shields, shields are very good. I made a video about blocking, and if you start with a guard's shield or a shield of anthrite that increase your block chance, those are great shields when you start, because they will increase your block chance, giving you a better chance for survival. However, when you have a solid build and your items have high quality, you won't need those extra points. And most shields are meh. They don't have very good abilities. Uh, we have the jeweled tower for yellow builds, which is great, but for the rest, none of them is particularly good. So this 10% elemental damage resistance, which is garbage, is not such a big deal because most shields in the end game are gonna give you subpar abilities. However, the problem here is the anthrite variant. At the start of your turn, there is a 5% chance to gain a stack of madness and spawn an anthrite gem per anthrite gear equipped. Now, only one item, only 5%, that's not a big deal. The problem is that anthrite gems, if the fight drags on for a long time, you might find yourself in a situation where you're generating a good amount of gems and you cannot get rid of them because you cannot match them with anything else. And the stacks of madness will increase your power, but it will also deal damage to you. So this is a very dangerous item. Most of the time, you will be fine, no problem. You can equip the shield and you will end up the fight before the anthrite gems are a problem. But if you have really bad luck, you can find yourself in a situation where you just can't get rid of them and there's nothing else you can do. Season 3.4, we have the Crown of the Fallen that I already talked about. And finally, Season 3.5, we have the last item, which is the Orb of the Last. At the start of the turn, destroy 3 colored gems. This depends on the color of the item, gaining a stat buff based on the color of the gem destroyed. This is bad. There are many great weapons in this game, and using this weapon is really, really bad, especially because most fights are quite fast. So you will not really get much advantage from this. I mean, 3 color gems, okay, 3 red gems, that's 1.5 power. That's nothing. Or 1.5 if they're green, critical chance. Again, that's nothing. Even after 5 rounds, let's say that you're doing this for 5 rounds, 7.5 power, when, for example, with the guard's broadsword, I think you can get 2.5 per turn or 5 per turn with the royal longsword. And those are okay weapons, but they're not the best of the best. They're very good weapons. So yeah, this weapon is really not a good idea. And you also have, with this weapon, the prismatic uh, variant. For each gem on the board, gain 0.5 damage resistance to that element. Yeah. I mean, it's not bad like the anthrite variant, but it's like nothing really. These bonuses are not gonna do anything for you. They are not gonna unless it's a very specific build for PvP where you want to maximize your resistance to one specific element to play in the tournaments of that element. uh, this is not good. Okay, so as I said before in the video, the decision is okay, what are the least worst items I can equip? What are the items that the opportunity cost of not using other items, as I said in the case of the Crown of the Fallen, of not using a good helm instead? Those are the things that you have to consider. So, just in a nutshell, if you're playing green, definitely go for the amulet. This amulet, the amulet of the first, is awesome. And then choose a second item and enjoy your green build where you won't have to worry about round one mana issues again. But with every other color, yeah, you have to play around a little bit. In this case, for my shaman, I chose the armor and the helmet. Right now, I'm not that tough. I only have 38,000 armor and 1,000 vitality, so it's still a little bit dangerous sometimes. But as the items get better and better, I will be able to survive more consistently. And this is not the character that I'm using for events, so I don't care about surviving anything above level 100. That's not a problem for me. And also I want to keep the 4 Bloodfang set bonus here, so that's why I'm using the shield, the shoulders, gloves, and boots. But for your specific build, consider the pros and cons of each one of the individual items. And as I said before, yeah, the 6 set bonus sounds great on paper, but in reality, having to use all 6 items with each one of the variants, quirks, and in my opinion, that's too complicated. I'm sure a build like that is possible, but the viability compared to other easier builds, yeah, I, I don't really see it working very well. So that is the Ancient Dragon set. If you found the video useful, please like, comment, subscribe, and thanks for watching.